Hello, my name is Astrid Oberhauser. I would like to show you today how we are making a double wedding ring quilt using this template set from Easy Quilting Simplicity called Double Wedding Ring. Our blocks have got the size of 10¼ inch or 26 centimeters including seam allowances. We are taking this template, aligning it at the edge of the quilt block, and we are cutting the curves into this block. They will form later the centers of the double wedding ring. Here is a block that's already cut, and we will need also the other shapes. There are two C-formed shapes and a melon shape, and also two squares. Now we are adding the two. You can sew the C shape also from small scraps like this. Then you iron the seam allowances into one direction. We decided to do this just with one piece instead, because there's a lot going on in the centers already. Here I've got a C shape and I joined the two corner squares already. It's important that you iron the seam allowances towards the middle of the C shape. And now you join the melon to the other C shape like this. In order to do so, you fold it into half to mark the center, and also on the other shape. Right sides together, you pin the centers together. The C shape is on top. Also later under the sewing machine, the C shape will be on top while you are sewing. Now we take a pin and also for the corners we take a pin and we push it into the point where the seam allowances are exactly 1/4 inch from both sides. Also in the other shape, and pin. Now we take it over our hand. We've got the impression that there's so much fabric, but if you just let it go, it's easy without stretching. Take a pin and you pin also this point. Here I've got one piece already pinned together, like this. You can see 5 pins. And we will start sewing exactly in the point where the first pin is. And now towards the other end, without stretching, but I will push a little bit towards underneath my foot of the sewing machine. Here I marked the middle. You can see it a little bit closer now. I show you again how to pin the center here. Exactly 1/4 inch from both sides. And also on the other piece, 1/4 inch from both sides. This point is important. You pin it together. And that's the point where you start sewing later. And here in the middle, where there's too much fabric, you also try to figure out where the middle is. And here you take another pin and pin it together. Okay, now we start sewing exactly where the first pin is. We lower the needle of the sewing machine exactly in this point. And we start sewing. If you want, you can go backwards in this point. It's not important, but if you do so, just make sure that you start in this point. I feed the upper fabric a little bit with a pair of small scissors. You might also take a large pin. I take the needles out while I'm sewing. and you can see when there's too much fabric, you can also lift the foot up and just try to feed the fabric a little bit. Next pin, we lift the foot again, take the pin out, and we do the same until we reach the other end. You can see we will stop exactly where the last pin is. And I go a little bit backwards again, just make sure that, and cut. So that's done. You can see it fits perfectly. If you iron, don't stretch too much. That's the first piece here. And now we have to add the other C shape with the two joined squares on the other end, like this. You can see the middle is marked with our fold. And I take a pin and we will pin together here in this point again, 1/4 inch from both sides. Pin it together exactly in this point. Here another pin where there's too much fabric. You start sewing again at the point where the first pin is. You lower the needle again in this point and you start sewing. The beginning is quite easy where the square is, because this straight line, that's easy. Go backwards a little bit until you reach the first pin. It's easy. And the curve is again as we did before. Take the pins out. I try to align the right edges of the pieces. Make sure everything fits. And I take a small pair of scissors, something that helps me to feed it. Again, you get the impression that it doesn't work, but as soon as you lift the sewing machine foot, it just fits in. As long as the right sides are together, it will work out somehow. It might make sense that you use a spare piece of fabric to try first and practice a little bit. But after 2 pieces, in my case, it worked. Don't try it on your blocks first. So now we finish this one, and you will see fits perfectly. I ironed a piece before. Look at this one. Now we will join it to our block. We fold it in half again. We mark the center again. You might do so with a fold or a pin. And you will join it to our block. You fold it also in half. We mark the center again with a pin. And right sides together. The block is now our C shape, as you can see. So the block will lie up on the melon piece. And here we put in a pin. Here I prepared a piece that you can see it. In this corner you take a pin. Exactly again 1/4 inch from both sides. The same in this corner here before the square. Same thing, and then you sew from one side to the other and it's done.